What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon and Bullshit podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right. Welcome in, everyone, to an episode of Bourbon and Bullshit. This is actually during our spooky season, so it's going to be a lot of fun for all those who know me. Aside from my drinking habits, I'm also a big proprietor of everything scary and spooky and what goes bump in the night. Today, I'm joined by Erica A, or AKA the Dead Girl. Hey, Erica, how's everything going? Oh, you froze on me.
Oh,
Nope,
what happened?
there you are. There you are.
That was weird. I am so sorry.
No worries. How are you?
Things are very good. Very busy season. How are you doing?
Can't complain. So I know you guys have a lot going on. So I'm so excited to get you in here. A friend of ours, Kim, got us together. So I wanted to get to know you and everything that you got going on. But do you want to be called Dead Girl or do you want to be called Erica?
I mean, whichever is easiest for you. I'm good with either way, to be honest.
Well, Erica, tell us about yourself, your brand, and everything you got going, so for everyone listening at home.
My name is Erica. I run my own podcast slash vlog slash YouTube channel called Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl. We're on all the platforms, um, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. We cover everything haunt, horror, Halloween, and spooky related. I started it back in, God, I think it was like 2017. I started to go out looking for Halloween stuff is kind of how it all began because I have a slight obsession with Halloween and horror, right? So I would always wonder like when stuff would start coming into the stores, and I never really found at the time a podcast or a vlog or anything that was doing that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself. So I started out strictly as a YouTube channel, and then that kind of spiraled into Facebook page and Instagram and TikTok, and we're growing. I have a three-person team currently that helps me with content when we do the busy season in October for haunt coverage and
Mm.
spooky happenings and things like that. So we're always growing and adding. And yeah, man, it's the stuff that I love doing and I love to share. It's a labor of love. I don't get paid for this. So it's something that makes my heart happy. And if it makes my heart happy, I hope that it makes other people's hearts happy too.
I'd love to hear it. As someone who does enjoy all things horror, I promise you, it makes someone else's heart happy.
Yes.
Like I said, Kim put us together. She's also a big fan of all things horror and everything that goes, along with that. It's my favorite season, right?
Absolutely.
So, along with your influence, your digital creation and everything, the vlog and the podcast, you also have a relationship with Spooky Empire too, correct?
I do. I started, oh God, Spooky Empire. So I used to live in South Florida. I'm currently in Orlando. And Spooky Empire, I heard this ad for it on the radio back in the day, and they were going to have Bill Heinzman and the original like TCM crew and some of the cast from Hellraiser and Friday the 13th. And they were doing a convention, and I'd never been to one. And I was like, man, I got to check this out. And it was like 2004. So it was their third show. So I went and I was like, this is amazing. And I started going every year. And then they made the move to Orlando. So I would, come up to Orlando, spend my vacations, go to the convention and just chat. And I met my husband at Spooky. Um,
Really? Oh, that's such a cute
yes.
love story. Like in all things.
Yes. It's adorable. And it's funny because when people are like, oh, how'd you meet? And I'm like, a horror convention. They kind of look at us sideways. And I'm like, no, no, not horror, like scary movies. I have to enunciate much better because he and I both get the side eye, so it's kind of funny. But we met at Spooky.
Yeah.
We started, met as friends. We were both in relationships when we first met. We'd parted ways about the same time, and we ended up dating. And at one point, my husband's been involved with Spooky for years, working with the zombie walk and makeup and special effects stuff. That's what, he does. So he kind of brought me in to help him run like the zombie walk. So he'll bring in 3 to 4 artists. I'll kind of manage them. I just make sure that every one of them has someone in the chair to get their makeup done. All the artists specialize in different things, which is great. So it brings a variety to the table. So I started helping him there, and then that kind of spiraled. And he had talked with Spooky, and they were like, we kind of would like to do something more. And he was like, well, we could do special effects classes and demos and panels and things like that. And they were like, yeah, let's go. So a couple of years, he and I put that together. We organized the artists and what they were doing. So we brought people in to kind of showcase their talent initially. And then we started offering classes, and we have classes happening this year for their October show. And that show is actually coming up next weekend. So that is going to be October 11th through the 13th. So we'll have classes and demos running all weekend long. They're paid. So, each artist, because you're learning something and you're physically doing it, it's material. So you're paying for the knowledge, you're paying for the materials. Some of the classes, you get like a take-home kit that you can do things at the house too, as well as while you're at the convention. So it's kind of nice. And then our demos are great because you can just, if you're interested in special effects, you can just kind of sit in and listen, and you can ask questions, so it's like an open forum, and it's really nice. And it's great for people that are interested but not quite sure how to get into it. So it's been an amazing thing. And he's worked with Spooky for years, and I've been working with them as long as he and I have been together. And we do other things with Spooky as well. But I've probably been working with them for 10 years now. And it's just been, our goal is to help grow. We want to
Mhm.
help grow the show. We want good things for the show. We want the show to be the best that it can be, and we want to bring new things to the attendees so that they have more of a reason to come and to hang out. And I think we do that pretty good with the makeup and the special effects aspect of it.
That's pretty awesome. I won't lie to you. I'm nowhere near skilled or been in, but I always find it so mesmerizing, especially practical effects, when you see all those movies who actually don't have to rely on a bunch of CGI, which it has its place. But I much rather see practical effects. Old school movies like American Werewolf in London, all those, like the actual time, energy, and effort that just resonates. Like, I mean, not necessarily horror, even though some people will consider Jurassic Park horror, but even the animatronics, that
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous.
yeah, and they still stand the test of time. Where
Hmm.
CGI later, more and more with technology and better TVs, you can quite quickly tell what's fake and what's just
You can
hovering.
pick it apart.
Yes, and I nothing against those artists; they're artists in their own right. But for when it comes to horror, I am a classic enthusiast.
Yes.
Those effects, that makeup, latex, all those hours, I appreciate it. When you see that transformation, is so dope. So, um, are you guys classically trained somewhere? Or is this just, hey, I just started doing it and getting better and better and better?
So my husband started when he was a kid. Like he started doing makeup by stealing his mom's makeup and just kind of playing with it. And what sparked that was Thriller, the old Michael Jackson music video. He watched the making of it and he was like, I want to do that stuff. And I mean, we were kids when that came out.
Yeah,
And I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was terrified, but also I couldn't get enough of it. Like I was so obsessed.
yeah.
And he was kind of the same way. So he started doing makeup that way. And then he met a gentleman by the name of Rick Gonzalez. And Rick Gonzalez is a local Floridian.
Hmm.
He worked on a little film called Day of the Dead with
Okay.
Greg Nicotero and Romero and, their whole crew. So he actually worked on that film. So he is my husband's mentor. And, he started like training him in some of the bigger things like mold making and sculpt, like showed him, sculpting and the proper tools to use and the proper way to do things, because YouTube videos nowadays are great, but they're not always safe, and it's not always the best way to do things. So he learned from Mr. Rick, and I've gone over and we've done stuff together, and I've learned some things too. And I'm nowhere near as talented in any of those people whatsoever.
Hmm.
But I love it. And like I said, I kind of help him
Yeah.
with the artist to see, what the customer wants, and then make sure that I put them with the artist that is going to best fit what they're looking for. And then, so that's kind of like how he's been doing it. And then, when we got together, I got to meet Mr. Rick, and, he's a dear friend. He's,
Hmm.
he's such a sweet gentleman. And we go over when we can get together, because everybody's got a busy schedule because it's life. But it's just, it's so funny to me because Day of the Dead was one of my favorite movies. Like, Romero's are my favorite films, right?
Hmm.
So to actually meet someone that worked on that film, like, inside I had the big fangirl moment, but I was
Hmm.
like, I gotta be cool. Like
Be
I
professional.
gotta,
They
I
probably get
gotta
this all the
be
time. Poker
like, I
face.
can't like nerd out, even
Yeah.
though on the inside I was completely like, oh my God, this guy got to do like all the things.
Hmm.
So it's just it's wild to me. And I've become friends with a few makeup artists that are in the industry. Um, just meeting people through various channels, and it's just wonderful. And I also have a huge love for practical effects. I mean,
Hmm.
just you can't beat it, man. You really can't.
You, hey, like I don't want to turn into a crapping on CGI, but yes, like you cannot beat it. As much as they try, you can tell when it's just BS and it's not any effort. And I know that some scenes you just can't do with practical
Right, like
effects.
space scenes and stuff. I mean, you
Yeah,
you can't do practical
yeah,
stuff with that in
yeah.
spaceships, and I
But
get it. And to your point, they all have their place for sure.
yeah, definitely have their place. But the unfortunate truth is, you could typically tell, and there's just something that feels more real when you see a creepy, great makeup job, and there's an appreciation for the
Yes.
art form.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely. And it really is an art form. And it's so funny how the film industry for years was very much like it was undervalued. Like special effects
yeah,
was not as appreciated as it's started to become, more and more as years grows. But it breaks my heart because man, there were so many groundbreaking things.
mm,
Like when you talk about, the werewolf transformation, American Werewolf in London,
oh my
that was
god,
just insanity. And it's things have gotten so much better. And more amazing. But even still, that makeup and that transformation truly stands the test of time.
yes, and it's crazy when you see the behind the scenes of it. You see the big, like the effort that went into it. It seems like one easy scene. Even then, obviously you
Yeah.
see the pain, the anguish through the whole transformation, all that stuff, which is can't be depicted without the practical effects. I think not
Hmm.
accurately, not well enough. And then when you actually see
Yeah.
the behind the scenes of the effort, the crew, everything that went involved, you're like, God, this is like a 3 minute scene. Like maybe
Uh-huh.
3 to 5 minutes
Oh,
of a transformation, and it took,
yeah. Of days work.
yes, the blood, the movement of the body, the everything. And I don't know, I'm an old school classic horror fan. But
Same.
real quick, I every time that I do bring someone on a show, I do make something called a drink of the day themed around who is
Huh?
here. I know that you're not here, but I was gonna make a drink called the Zombie. It's a classic cocktail, but because I'm an adult now, I want to make something. I looked into this book called The Smuggler's Cove. It's a tiki cocktail book, and they had something called the Undead Gentleman, and they literally
Oh,
called it like an upscaled zombie. I was like, I feel too bougie. I feel like that's too bougie for me. But fuck it,
it's
I've never.
classy.
Right? It just sounds nice for no good reason. So I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. But this was a little heavy booze forward. It's really nice. I'll put the actual drink details in the show notes, but it's overproof rum, grapefruit juice, blended age rum. I'll put all the exact measurements, but this actually turned out being one of the most impressively good drinks I've had in a long time. So definitely felt like it felt right for the season. All my drinks for the rest of
Yeah.
this month will be all spooky themed. So for all of those listeners at home, be prepared for me being really drunk and talk about how Freddy Krueger is better than every one of your bad guys.
Facts.
Right? I always get so mad when people are like, "Nah, I don't think Freddy would be that big of a deal." I was like,
Oh, but he is because you have to sleep. It's one of those things that you cannot live without,
uh,
and there's no escaping him. There's no the only way you're safe is if you're awake, and even then it's questionable, right? So like,
every
no,
scene,
no.
every movie has someone thinking that they're awake the whole time, and you gotta.
Hmm.
I could avoid camping all day. I'm way too dark to be going camping. I could avoid Laurie Strode and Haddonfield all day. I could avoid all those
Yep.
things. I will not say Candyman 3 times in a row,
Uh-uh.
but I gotta sleep.
But sleep, yeah.
Yup. But yeah, so we'll share that for everyone who is interested in it. But you did kind of give us a rundown of your current state of affairs and everything, all horror related. But what got you into it? Like we talked about kind of classic horror. Like what was like your first initial like, oh I like this. And you said it scared
I
you, but
was
you
I was
fascinated.
little, man. I was a youngin. This is back in the day when I had like a babysitter,
Mm,
So I had a babysitter and it was at a friend's house. Like my mom left me with a girlfriend, like her best friend's daughter,
yeah.
and we were supposed to be sleeping, which how you're never really sleeping when you're supposed to be.
Rules.
Well, I had fallen asleep and I woke up and there was this movie on TV and it was George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. And it was the very ending where everybody is just getting pulled apart, where the zombies have already broken into the mall, all the bikers have already, started stealing everything. And I just remember waking up and seeing this guy getting his gut like literally his stomach ripped open and the guts just falling out. That's all it took.
That's all. That
I
that was it.
was
That was the moment.
That was it. I was in it to win it. I couldn't get enough of it. I just started to consume all things horror. Whether it was animated or, just movies, cartoons, TV shows, you name it, I was in it. And that's probably why I have such a huge love for George A. Romero's films, because
Hmm.
that was my first true exposure,
Hmm.
other than, of course, Thriller, which came later. But that was just, it stuck with me. And to this day, it's still my favorite horror movie,
That's
like hands down. And when the
really.
remake came out, I'm, s- I like the first 10 minutes of the remake, and that's all I'm going to give it. I was
Ah,
not a fan of the remake
that's very
at
cool.
all.
Has
It's
any other
because I
movie come
am
close?
to Dawn,
Hmm.
Evil Dead.
Ooh, original
The
or the new
original
one?
Evil Dead. Oh no, the original. No, no,
Okay,
I'm an old school. I love my 80s. So the
respect that.
original Evil Dead trilogy, one, two,
Army
Army
of
of Darkness.
Darkness.
I mean, Evil Dead 2 really is a remake of Evil Dead 1, if
Yeah,
we're going to be honest about it.
that's all it really was.
But yeah, they're campy, they're fun, they're like over the top gore, which I absolutely love. Kane VFX, amazing work. It's just Robert Kurtzman is such a lovely gentleman. It's we've met him at Spooky. We met him through Spooky, him and his wife, and they're lovely people, and we stay in touch. And they're just the makeup in that movie is just, oh my God, the effects, the creatures, the skeletons.
Hmm.
I watched the making of it and with the commentary on and off way more than I probably should. And the same goes for Dawn. I watch, everything with the commentary a lot. If I really love it and I'm so into it, I'll live it with the commentary because I love hearing those behind the scenes tidbits that you get with it.
That I was gonna say. I'm like, there's an appreciation there. Like when you really fall in love with a film or any genre whatsoever, even heck on a comedic genre like the movie Super Troopers, I thought was one of the hilarious movie, but
So good.
their commentary was as funny as almost everything in the movie. I was like, this is fucking great. I love every single thing here. I was so mad. I was like, I want another. I want a part two. I want a part three. I want everything from Broken Lizard. But just whenever you have a really good appreciation, I want to know how it was done, what was the process, and I nerd out on it. I'm unfortunately
Same.
a massive nerd. Not even unfortunately, I just well, it's time consuming, so I guess unfortunately. Um, that's that's dope. So Dawn of the Dead,
Dawn. Dawn is my
was it?
favorite of the original trilogy. I love Night, don't get me wrong. I have an
Mm-hmm.
appreciation for that. Day
Not bad.
is definitely a very different film. And the
Yeah.
coloration of the zombies changed too as his films changed, which was interesting to kind of see that color, the changing of that color palette, because, Night obviously it's black and white. So
Mm-hmm.
it's there. Dawn was more blues, then you get into Day and it was a lot more grayer tones and darker. So it's interesting to kind of watch the shift in the zombies and their makeup as the series progressed.
I like that because it also felt like he criticized himself. He saw something, said, I don't like that energy. I don't like how that vibe was. Like, yeah, we put out a good movie. I'm not mad at the product, but like, I want the zombies to be darker. I don't want this to be as humorous. The blue felt might have felt campy-ish more than I wanted to, or whatever his thoughts
Yeah.
were. Uh, the black and white, I did find it interesting as you nerd out a little bit more about black and white, how you had to do certain makeup so things could come off differently in black and white,
Mhm.
like darker tones where you wanted to show more depth or more hollow look and all this stuff. And when you see them in real
Yep.
life, like it just looks ridiculous, but on black and white, it looks fantastic.
And
Like,
the same goes for blood, right? So,
mm,
like, if you're looking at the old school black and white movies, a perfect example is Psycho.
mm,
They used, syrup for the blood because it was darker and it gave them the color that they needed for that film to emphasize what the blood was. So, like, you couldn't go something like bright red or pink because it would just wash it right out. So you had to go with the darker, thicker color. And it's funny because my husband's worked on, black and white films, and you have to shift your makeup. So if you're, your director's like, hey, we're going to do this scene and it's going to be, this, and this, and then you do your makeup for that scene and they don't tell you it's in black and white, it's not going to shoot the way it's supposed to. So, it's something that a lot of makeup artists have to be very cognizant of, and as well as, the director or
mm.
the show producer, whoever, they need to, like, things need to be communicated like that. And I think a lot of people don't think of that. They think of it as an afterthought. They don't. look at it beforehand, realizing that you have to change your color palette entirely. And that is stuff that I learned from my husband. Like, I, look, he's the makeup guy.
Yeah, I mean, but you're a makeup person in your own right too now, right? Like this, you've
No,
been hey, slow motion is better than no motion. You're gonna get there.
I've been in
You've been in it.
it.
We're gonna take a quick break. Make sure that we keep the lights on. So we will be right back after we hear a message from our sponsors. This will be a Midnight Fables Cabaret. They have an upcoming show for Red Death Masquerade. They will actually be live in the Plaza coming up. They had their depiction of a burlesque version of Mask of the Red Death. So be right back, guys.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group, comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective, or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
All right, we are back, guys. Make sure that you check out Red Death Masquerade of the Red Death, the Mask of the Red Death. For those who did not know, they actually won best show. They won an award for best original show at Orlando Fringe this year.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, they're being asked to now. They're going to be performing at the Plaza Live, and there's going to be a full ball after the show, just like Prince Prospero's ball. So masks and formal attire are recommended because it's going to be dope, and I'm going to be there. Bourbon and Bullshit crew
That's
will
cool.
be there VIP. So Erica, if you're interested, let me know, and we can try to get you VIP, you and your husband.
Nice. You'll have to let me know when it is. I'll have to like get some details
I'll get you some
for sure,
details.
because that sounds awesome.
It'll be in January, so I'll get you all the details. I know we
Oh
got
yeah, please do. That's awesome.
definitely. I'll talk to the sugar mama. That's what we call her.
I love that.
Over on Fables, the sugar mama. Today, actually, because our 1 year anniversary of starting the show and figuring ourselves out is coming up, and I was like, hey,
Oh, yay.
hey, sugar mama, what's the budget for the bottle? And she's like, how much you need? And I was like, ooh, it's like that.
Well then.
Well then, I see how it is. She treats us good.
Good.
So we talked a little bit about how long you've been doing working with Spooky Empire and what got you there, with it right around the corner. So Zombie Walk is evolved, right? It's turned from like, oh, a couple of people and all this. Tell us about that evolution. How many people do you see now, or what was the biggest jump?
We do see a couple hundred people that come out for the walk. We have, oh God, it's been going forever. Like I remember my first spooky here in Orlando. It was I want to say, who knows, maybe, and they had a huge zombie walk, and it was thousands of people would show up to get their makeup done, and they would trample through I Drive, and they would, yeah, all kinds of costumes. Like people would dress up. A dear friend of mine, remember the Blind Melon video, No Rain, like the Bumblebee
Yes,
girl.
yes.
So she wore the Bumblebee outfit
As a
to the
zombie.
zombie walk, and they zombified her, and it's the best thing ever. And I met her at Spooky. She's my flower girl at my wedding. Um, yeah, she's amazing.
That's
So
dope.
it's like it's progressed right over the years. So my husband's doing the makeup up with that. So it's gone from like, maybe a couple hundred people to like thousands of people. The zombie walks are still big and growing, which is nice. Ours is taking place on Friday, which believe is the 11th, and that's from noon to 3 at the Pub Orlando
At the Pub
over
Orlando.
by.
For
Yeah,
those,
so that's going to be down on I Drive. It's in the plaza next to the Hyatt Regency.
Mhm.
So it'll be like drink specials. We'll have makeup artists out there doing makeup for a price, because makeup's
Yeah,
costs money, and our artists are talented,
there's
so they got to
there's
do
a
their
skill,
do
there's a
their thing.
service you're paying for here. Hey,
Absolutely.
you gotta
So
pay
we'll
for
have some
supplies
makeup
too.
artists. Yeah, we'll have prosthetics being done. We'll have some airbrush makeup. We'll also have like some water-based makeup and sealers and things like that to make sure that you stay dead. So that's
Stay dead.
always a fun time. So everybody just kind of like gathers, and they have some drinks, they have some food, they get their makeup done, they hang out in zombie gear. We have our friend Jesse Fish, who goes by Dead Fish. He's our our walk leader. He was part of the Deadite Empire back in the day, who actually assisted with the zombie walk, and this is many, many a year
Yeah.
ago.
For
The
those
Deadite Empire,
for those who might not be
the
too
Deadite Empire was the name of the group
uh,
that kind of like
For those who might
helped
not be
with the
familiar
walk.
with the actual zombie walk, it's you. Where do you start? Where does it end? What, like, that kind of aspect of it? Because there's some people who might not be into, have come here because of the bourbon and now are here for the spooky. So what does that entail?
So a zombie walk is just kind of like a gathering of folks that just want to have a good time. So you show up at the place where it starts, which is the Pub Orlando, and that's going to start at noon on Friday the 11th, and that goes until 3 o'clock. So at noon, you can get some drinks, hang out, meet like-minded people, get your makeup done, wear whatever you want, bring the kids. We get tons of kids. We get so many little zombie kids,
Those
and
are
I've
extra
watched
creepy.
extra creepy. And I've watched, and it's funny too, because we get like, parents come and they come yearly. So I've watched some of these kids grow up. So I've seen them when they're like 4 or 5 and getting zombie makeup, and now they're, 19. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm old. What's happening? But it's awesome because they get so into it, and they'll wear a costume and they'll come up and they'll be like, okay, just do whatever you want to do. And some of them I have ideas, and some of them just give the artist free reign. So they'll do your makeup, you'll hang out, and then about 3 o'clock we kind of gather all of the zombies together collectively. And then our friend Jesse, he will lead the walk from the Pub Orlando down I Drive to the Hyatt Regency, which is where Spooky Empire is being held this year. So everybody just kind of shambles and stumbles, doing their best zombie impression, down to the convention, and everybody just kind of invades the event. And of course, the convention will be going. There's panels, there's classes,
That's dope.
there's so much to do. There's vendors, there's
Mhm.
celebrities, there's like a gaming room, there's going to be live music. So there's tons of film festival, authors
Mhm.
panel. So there's literally like something for everybody. So it's kind of cool that the zombie walk is kind of like the kickoff,
Yeah.
for the
Opening
event.
ceremony type of.
And yeah, it's you can, yeah, I mean that's actually the perfect way to describe it. It's kind of like an opening ceremony. And we have people that, you know, come by themselves. Like we we have folks that show up and they don't know anybody, and they just hear there's a zombie walk, and they're like, I want to check it out and see what it's about, and maybe I want to check out the convention. Now, you don't have to go to the convention. If you can just come for the walk. If you just want to come hang out and get makeup done, you could totally do that. So that's of course encouraged and welcome. And we have people that have come that have never been before, and they just make all new friends because everybody's just very chill, very down to earth, very like-minded. They've got music, awesome rock music going, and we're just kind of hanging out and having a good time. And it's so weird because you kind of find like your non-blood
You
family
find your new
in a
horde.
way.
You
Yeah,
find
you
your
do. You find your new roaming horde, and it's just a cool thing, and it's so fun to be a part of. And for years I got my makeup done, and usually, if nobody's like in the chair, nobody's busy, I'll usually jump in and get some stuff done, and then I'll kind of help. So if, anybody's planning to come to the walk, you'll probably find me because I'll probably help you if you need your makeup to, I'll get you to an artist and
Mhm.
hook you up. And most of them do take cash. They do some of them do prosthetics, like my husband does prosthetics. We've got some amazing airbrush artists.
Mhm.
Some of them used to work for Universal Studios.
Yeah.
So, we've got all skill, some
Yeah.
great skill level there, and it's a fun time. It really is. And the pub's got great food, and their
Oh
drink
yeah.
specials are great too. So it's a very, nice big open space. We do makeup outside because airbrush,
And it's a
you
lot
don't
of
want to do
people.
that in enclosed space either. So
Yeah.
it's a cool thing to
And
do.
a crap ton of people too for that kind of
Yeah, we get
experience.
a we get a couple hundred out there, and usually the later it gets, the more people stumble in,
Yeah.
and then everybody stumbles out together.
It is the pub. For those who have who've not been, I will personally endorse the pub's like whiskey flights, and their food and everything is fantastic there. So
It's
and
great.
and as a thick kid who likes to drink, I promise you, I've tried it all. So like, yeah, so it's definitely a place that's good to try it. But yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've never done it.
Oh, you
There,
should come hang out. It's so
I
fun.
this one I'm actually going to be in North Carolina for a wedding. I promise you, I've been meaning to because I'm like, this is truth. Like you said, YouTube can help you try to do makeup, but sometimes it's just not going to work. I'm a bigger dude, beard. I get hot. I'm like most of the stuff, but I'm saying most of the stuff I've tried to do on my own based on YouTube videos falls off halfway through the night. All this stuff gets kind of discouraging. So I'm like, let me just buy a more expensive mask. Let me spend some that money and time and energy and effort in something that's just not going to fall off. So I've always been interested in going to the zombie walk because of those talented artists to see like, listen, this is a mess. How can you make the makeup and stuff stick on here?
Fix it.
Yeah, fix it and make me look dead for the whole time. I want to stay dead, as you said earlier. So
yeah, I mean their stuff stays. Like I've literally gotten my makeup done at the walk. My husband and I have worked some haunted attractions locally, so like they've done my makeup at the walk. We've gone to a haunt, done makeup there, left and gone back to spooky, and I've literally had it on for 10 hours and it does not come off until you are ready. So I mean they have sealers, they seal it, so it's gonna stay on. The prosthetics are a little different because alcohol sometimes will help release things depending on what's being put on or the type of prosthetic. But your makeup's gonna stay until you're ready to wash it off, and they'll tell you how to take it off, before you leave the chair, which is kind of nice too.
So Monday morning, my first Zoom meeting, I won't look like a dead version of myself. Good. I mean,
if you wanted to do it, who cares, right?
Spirit week, haunted spirit week to an extent. That's awesome. I want to get a little bit more into your personal stuff. So you have the haunted horror happenings and the dead girl, and you talked about the finding horror themed things for the holiday, the season, all that, and kind of just exploring that world and kind of giving people this opportunity to learn about things that they might not have seen in real time. Because I will be the first to tell you that driving around and stopping everywhere looking for Halloween stuff could sometimes be a pain in the ass. I end up just at a local Walgreens and buy the first 5 things I find, or on Amazon, which Jeff Bezos has enough money, he doesn't need mine. So if there are unique, cool things that I don't have to flip through 15 pages of, you're the stop I should go to.
Yeah, I will. I do the hunting so you don't have to. And some people love hunting, and I fully encourage, of course, you to go out and do your own thing. And a lot of people like to see the things in person. But I will stalk the stores, all of them. So I will stalk the at-home stores. I will stalk, Walgreens, Target, Michael's, Bed Bath and Beyond, even for their spooky scents and their little Halloween, hand sand holders because they're adorable. Spirit Halloween, I'll kind of stalk their locations and when they're going to open. It sounds creepy, but it's not, I promise. So, I'll like walk and I'll be like, is there Halloween yet? Where are we at? So I'll do this, with Lowe's and Home Depot. So I do visit those stores quite a bit. And then as they start to come out, I'll start to log. I do a lot of stuff through YouTube, a lot through TikTok and Facebook, as well as Instagram. Honestly, half the time I forget about Twitter. So I'm not as active on there as I should be.
I don't even have a Twitter. Because now it's called X and that feels weird. And I'm not doing
that. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Not doing it.
So I do all of that. So I do with the stores. There's also like a lot of independent haunted attractions here in Florida. Yeah. Everybody that comes here is like Halloween Horror Nights and Hallow Scream, and those are wonderful. And I love those events. Don't get me wrong. But I don't love the conga lines and I don't love the crowds because it's a lot. It's a lot, man.
I recently saw that you put up one from Auburndale.
Yes.
It's called Terror at the Track. That was your newest episode that I saw. Well, yeah, it was uploaded 5 hours ago. I've been stalking you a little bit. Mind your business. Don't worry about
it. All right. Yeah, we actually went out last night. So last night they did a media preview, and Studio 1031 Concepts is a costume company, and the owner of that company actually put on this haunted attraction. Now he's been in the haunted industry for years. He's worked other haunted attractions. In fact, Spooky Empire. He did a small haunted walkthrough for them last October for the 20th anniversary, which was rad. For being like in a ballroom in a hotel, the scares were it's beautiful. The scares were great. So we went out there last night, and it's a solid like almost 2-hour drive, hour and a half, hour 40 minutes from where we're at. No, it's not. But let me tell you, totally worth it. They have food. The food was amazing. The haunt itself was great. I got some really good scares. I usually don't get a lot of good scares. So when I get them, I'm so happy. So I got a lot of really good scares there. And they pulse you, which is one of my favorite things, right? So like whether it's Terror at the Track or Sir Henry's Haunted Trail or Petrified Forest or Ominous Descent or Fear Ridge Scream Park, like they pulse you. So you're not going in with 30 people. If there's a group of 2, that's who's going in and that's it. So you get every scare, you get the full effect, and it's so fantastic. And that's probably like why I love all of our independent local haunts, because they go full bore and they all have their own storyline. And the sets are amazing. Like they really do put like their heart and soul into them. And these guys build these things, within a small amount of time. And they're putting the stories together the minute, even before the season ends, they're already thinking of next year
That's dope.
and what they're going to do. And it's so cool to see the process. And I have a lot of friends that are in the industry, and it's such a cool labor of love.
Yeah.
And you can see it shine every time they open.
It damn near feels like practical effects versus big studio. I mean,
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So you have the appreciation for that. I've been watching some of those, and I see like Petrified Forest, and I see those things pop up, and I unfortunately, and I love her to death. I'm not speaking ill of my fiance, but she's a big scaredy cat, so she does not go to any haunts with me. So I am
Okay.
unfortunately usually going with. I love my friends, but I don't get to bring her and see her freak out. So I go with my friends, and
Yeah.
like you
It's
said,
different.
yeah, it's different because you're just like hanging out, just like I'm not that scared. Like you get that, you have a little less fun without your significant other. I
Yeah.
will only admit that on here. But yeah, I've gone to Halloween Horror Nights obviously multiple times. I've gone to independent haunts, and there is something unique where Halloween Horror Nights, they are good. Some of their houses are very good. The houses that sometimes surprise me are not even the big focal ones who have to stick to a storyline. And I think that when you're confined of creating a haunt only around one movie and one IP, intellectual property for anyone at home who's like, what's IP? You're too boxed in. And
You're limited.
You're too boxed in, and you can't have as much fun with it. Where these independent haunts, I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's my thing.
Oh yeah, and some of them are like,
Yeah.
dude, like some of them are over the top. There's a couple of them that I've done, and they have bathroom scenes, and it just looks like somebody just crapped all over the bathroom, and they have like water that squirts out of the toilet, and it just got that smell, and you're just like, it's clearly it's water and it's not actual crap, but in the moment you're like, it smells like it. Your brain is like, it's got to be crap, but it's really, it's
your mind puts
it's
that
not.
like together. Like you see it, obviously it's gonna be poop, and then it's like, no, it's
Right.
not. But it's not.
And it never fails. My mouth is always open when that happens, and I'm just like, oh, what the like, and
At this
every
point,
time.
I'm just gonna start showing up with a bib. Like I'm not doing this. Not doing this ever
Every
again.
damn time. Well, now I'm like, I just keep my mouth shut. I'm like, oh, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just gonna walk through there and just say, I do not. But that's to your point, is with the theme parks, like, especially with Universal, they're limited because they have these IP, so they can only do certain scenes what those production companies dictate of them. Now their own original ideas, they can do much more, which they're beautiful. They really
I like
are.
those so much.
They're
independent ones.
they're gorgeous, but they're not to me. But also I'm very desensitized to all this.
You're in
Keep
the
this in
industry.
mind.
It's
They're not scary. They're pretty. They're beautiful. I don't go to get scared. I go to look at the scenic. I go to see all the work that the whole arts and design department, has done. I go to see their creations. If I want to get scared, I'm going to go to an independent haunt. If I want scares, I'm going to go there. And they're all over the US. So it's not just Florida that has them. They've got them in Georgia, which some in Georgia are fantastic. There's some in Pennsylvania that are just amazing. So, do some in Florida, but if you can, get out of Florida and do some of the ones outside of Florida, because they're a whole different level.
okay. Of the Florida ones, where, if you had to give us a top 3 to visit, or top 5, I'll give you 5.
Okay, that's hard, right? So Sir Henry's Haunted Trail is one of my big ones. It's 300 trails. They added a haunted hayride last year, so this is their second year with the hayride, and they completely redo the trails every year.
Where's this one at?
Every year it's a different theme. Now this one's in Plant City, so it's a little bit of a drive, but totally worth it, because you can go out, you can make a night. They have a midway area. They have, drinks and food, little food trucks and stuff like that. So it's just such an amazing thing to go and see. So Sir Henry's is up there. Terror Track is new this year. Amazing. Such a good job. Worth the drive. Carpool with a bunch of friends and go out. Free, plenty of parking. They, all these times have free parking, which is nice. You don't have to worry about spending $35 to park your car. Just saying. So that one's good. We have not been to Petrified yet. We're actually going to Petrified tomorrow night.
Ooh.
They always do a great job. The crew there is just, they're so talented, and they've got the greatest ideas, and their executions are always good. So Petrified is always one of my favorites as well. Ominous Descent is also, I don't want to call them new. They're back. They did a haunt like a few years ago. They took a small break and now they're back. So
Where are they?
we're gonna go see them probably not next weekend, but the following weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go check them out. But they're also in Winter Haven.
Oh,
So they're close to Terror the Track. So ideally you could actually
go
go
too.
spend a night, do Terror and then do OD or Ominous and then Terror, depending on, which one. But I have friends that have done Ominous Descent and they're like, it's amazing, it's fantastic. So we're very excited to check them out. There's some in South Florida, Friday nights at the South Florida Fairground. They're awesome. When I lived in South Florida, I went to them quite a bit. Oh, they have a whole like carnival game midway area, in their haunts. They've got roaming actors. So they definitely step it up a little bit too. They're probably one of my other favorite ones. There's a lot. There's really
Okay.
a lot of independent haunts in Florida, and we're just getting more and more. And I'm so happy about it. We did Fear Reach Scream Park this year, was new for us. This
Fear,
is their second
what
year
was it called?
running. Fear Reach Scream Park. They're in Tavares. Tavares. I always say it wrong.
Tavares. I don't know.
Tavares,
One of
Florida.
those.
It's out towards Mount Dora,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
it's out towards that area. It's They have 3 trails. They also have a midway area and a bar, and they've got a couple of food trucks. Um, they have 3 haunted trails. One of them's okay.
Mm.
The other 2 are good. There's one of them that's just outstanding. So that's another one that you could go to. So the nice thing is too is they don't charge like these haunts that have more than one trail. They don't charge you per trail. So if it's $25 to get in, you get all 3 of them. I think Sir
That's
Henry's
dope.
has an extra charge for the hayride though, but like otherwise you get all 3 trails, which is really cool.
That's pretty awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that's good because I plan on trying to get scared soon. I'm not. I think especially since the pandemic, things have started ramping back up. People are starting to get more
Yes.
creative. Like it sucks because we always refer back to like the pandemic, but that was 2 years of our lives that were pretty much it deleted where people had to do something else. And some of these independents are doing this stuff for passion projects and things they care about. Could not sustain those expenses during this time. And now that everything is, hey, full go on and live your best life. This is where I'm starting to see a lot of industries pick back up. So
Yeah, which
excited.
is great because I mean the pandemic killed quite a bit of, and I mean it didn't kill it, but it hurt what I was doing because I couldn't go to the stores anymore and share things with people, right?
Mhm.
So I started my podcast during the pandemic, and I started that because I have a lot of friends who are local artists and they like to paint or they like to create, dolls or weird things. So I started having them on my podcast as a way to bring the things that they had to offer to people so that they could help them sell some of their stuff
Mhm.
because they were hurting because there were no events for them to go to. There were no conventions, there were no outdoor markets, and now that everything is ramping back up, it's great to see things returning to normal and to see everybody getting to go out and discover all the spooky things and all the non-spooky things and the passions, coming back full bore. It's so nice to see.
Yeah, it's great to see everything ramp up in general, just in life, and
Oh,
hopefully people.
absolutely.
I mean, the one thing I do miss is no traffic, so that's a thing. Uh,
I miss having a full tank of gas for 2 months. That's
oh,
what I mean.
I work from home, and I still like every time I have to go out there, it's like people. Uh,
Yeah.
we're gonna take a quick break. Just a reminder: don't drink and drive, and drink responsibly. From here at Bourbon and BS. Be right back, guys. Hey guys, while you're listening to the show, we know that you might want to partake in some drinks with us and enjoy the libations. Here at Bourbon and Bullshit, we ask that you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, avoid Amazon one-click buy, and for the love of God, do not text your ex. You do not need that kind of closure. They've moved on, so should you, Joseph. You should stop Facebook stalking. She knows. She knows. Now, all jokes aside, don't do anything dumb, take care of yourselves, and be safe. Thanks, guys. Now back to the show. One of the things that I enjoy on every show that I do with someone on video or that's never necessarily listened to some of my commercials is the reaction when I say, if for the love of God, please don't text your ex.
Everybody does it when they're drinking. That's the first thing they do is they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna text Sally," and it's like, "No,
I need closure.
no, you're not."
No, give me your goddamn phone. What's wrong with you?
Exactly. So good.
Yep. It's one of our favorite things because I think when you're drunk, I think humor resonates with people. You already know, don't drink and drive. But if I also throw that in, people are like, shit, like it's gonna stick in your head.
Damn, I'm called out now.
I got called out for all the stupid things I've done. I Ubered, but I really sent 13 you up Texas. I should stop.
Right?
Be an adult, damn it. So a couple of things. So I wanted to hear, especially from your expertise. I wanted to find out what your top tier. And look, I'm not gonna confine you to only movies because I'm sure there's other mediums as well as you enjoy, but it's completely up to you. What are your top 5 in the horror category? And I'll share mine. I have, or at least some that I think deserve recognition. My top 5 is ones that deserve notice.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question with a question. Is any genre, or are we genre specific for this one?
Shit, that's tough.
Yeah.
Because slashers. So we got slashers, then we got 80s, and we got 90s, and we got modern horror, then we got psychological. How about you give me 5 that you think someone needs to see, read, or listen to?
Okay, I'm going to start with a book. One of my favorite books that I discovered a couple of years ago is called Patient Zero by Jonathan Mayberry.
I love Patient Zero.
I've read that book to the point where I've had to buy a 3rd copy.
Really?
Yes. I met him actually, it's funny enough, I met him at Spooky Empire a few years ago, and completely nerded out moment because Patient Zero is such a fantastic read. And I feel like a lot of people don't read as much as they probably should, to be honest. It's become a lost thing, like the physical book, not necessarily the ebook, right? So Patient Zero for me was so good. And then he wrote another book called Dead of Night. That's fantastic.
You're listing 2 of my favorites.
Yes. Yeah. So those are like my top 2 horror books, aside from all the stuff that Stephen King has ever written in his entire life, because that man just.
But those are recognized. To
my soul. So those are recognized. So Jonathan Mayberry, check him out. He also did like the Rotten Ruin series. It's good. So he's fantastic. So as far as books go, those are probably my 2 recommendations: are Dead of Night and Patient Zero. And they do have them on audiobook. Which is kind of funny to listen to because it's a guy that reads them. So when he does the feminine voice, it's very comical.
So I was gonna tell myself, because of my commutes, because of the type of work I've done, I audible a lot because I'm always on the road. So yeah, I've done that, and it's weird because I'm like, I know it's the same dude. Why are you doing that?
And voice? He's like, "Hey, Sally," and you're just like, "Dude, stop!" I'm like, "No, you are not. No." So yeah, the Audible book, it's just as good as if you're reading it. But it is available on Audible if you can, grab it, listen to it.
And there's like 8
it's
books.
Phenomenal. Yeah, there's a lot, and one of the main characters in there, Joe Ledger, is like, he's my favorite badass of all time at this point because he's the man. But yeah, so those are my 2 favorite books. As far as movies goes, it's tough, right? Because there's so many. More recently that's come out, and a lot of people I feel are starting to discover it more and more, is The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
That was on my I've had that one on my list, and we did I don't mean to interrupt. We did a podcast called Full Frontal Nerdity Show. We won multiple awards for Orlando Weekly. We did it for a very long time.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, we did it for like 3 years. This part of the reason why I ended up doing this one. We did that for a while. The team broke up. We'll talk about it later. But on 31, we did every year. It's 31 Days of Halloween. I put them on to Autopsy of Jane Doe. It was like, all of you have to watch it. They're like, oh no. The one movie that you've never heard of that you should fucking watch right now is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So go on.
It's beautiful. Practical effects in it are stunning. And it all takes place in a mortuary. It all takes place in one building. And it's such a mind fuck at one point because what you think is happening isn't happening, or is it? So I can't really, I don't want to get into it without destroying it for people who haven't seen it. So if you haven't seen it, it's, for the love of God, please watch this movie. It's so good. And I'm not trying to overhype it, but it really is that good.
It's good. And one thing that it does very, very, very well is that it will build tension without ever seeing anything.
Yeah.
It's
Like
this
a
father and son
lot.
in one room, and you see like a foot walk by, and that's it. And
Yeah.
you're like,
And it's enough to where you're like, what the fuck? Because it's in a mortuary.
mm-hmm.
So do with that with what you will. So that's yeah, one of my top. Just to throw out there a TV series, Blood Drive.
Ooh, what is that about?
There it was one season only on FX. It's hard to find streaming now, but you can buy it on Amazon. Colin Cullerton was in it and he played a character called Slink. So what it is it's set in this post-apocalyptic world, and it's kind of like Death Race, except the cars run on blood. So people are literally throwing people into their engines so that their cars will run.
Excuse me?
Yes. So it's a race. So like
Oh
it
my
starts off where
God.
you meet this chick and she's like, I'm stranded on the side of the road. Can you fix my car? And dude walks over and she like literally just throws him into her engine and just the engine basically just shreds him and it refills her fuel tank. And there's this whole race, and Colin Cullerton plays like the lead character, Julian Slink, and he is basically moderating the entire race, and it's watched on TV. But it touches on all these lovely, lovely genres. So there's like a zombie episode, a cannibalism episode. It touches on all of the cults and B movies. So it's all the same show, but they're all just different genres as each episode. And I was so pissed when they canceled it, and I'm still screaming for them to bring it back because
Blood
it
Drive.
was such a great show. And if you love trash cinema, it is 100% for you
Okay.
because
Okay.
but it's with good acting. So do you remember Blue Mountain State?
Yeah. Thad
Remember
Castle in there?
Thad?
Yeah. Jack
He's in
Reacher?
it.
What?
He's in it. Yeah, he's in it.
Oh my God.
He plays a cop.
I'm going to have to watch this because I love him.
So I did not watch Blue Mountain State. I met him through Blood Drive, and I was like, okay, like this dude's like fucking shit. Well, then my husband was like, I need to show you something. And keep in mind, we had watched Jack, we watched Reacher, and we love Reacher.
You only seen him in
And then
series.
And then he showed me Blue Mountain State, and I lost my mind. And I mean, I cannot watch him in anything ever again without thinking of that. But he's in it, and he's amazing. So Blood Drive, as far as like TV series goes, there was a phone number you could call. Like they would do fake commercials,
Mm-hmm.
and they would put up this phone number, and you could call it, and it would be like Julian Slink voice talking shit into the phone. It was so good.
I love that.
Sci-fi is like gold. So those were really good. Another one that probably a lot of people didn't see, it was on Shudder. It was called Host.
Oh.
So
Is it the one
It was
about
shot-
the Zoom call seance?
yes,
Yes.
shot during COVID.
Mhm.
So it was done beautifully. It was all on Zoom, the entire thing. Phenomenal.
Mhm.
Like just so much creepy shit would happen
Underrated.
in the back, and you had to pay attention because you would miss all of the creepy little details and things that would happen in the background. So just fantastic. Honorable mention to throw out is one called Demonic. I love paranormal investigation type stuff,
I
and I
know.
love like paranormal supernatural.
Mhm.
This one is a group of kids. They go to a house to investigate some spooky things. One of
Okay.
them becomes possessed.
The one in 2021 and 2015.
I think it was 21.
Okay, I'll check it out later.
It's so good. But again, I loved it.
Okay.
I don't think it's the love it deserves. So those are my 6.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
What about you? What do you got?
So ones that I think deserve more love, and I'll go a little bit more modern with my first two. Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, because
Dude.
Ethan Hawke is underrated when it comes to horror movies.
Obsessed with that movie.
Sinister and then Black Phone. He does a fantastic. He is so creepy in Black Phone. Him sitting at the top of the stairs is one of the most fucked up, I'm just uncomfortable scenes I've seen in a movie in a long time. And it's him sitting on the top of the stairs with the fucked up mask that he wears and a belt.
And the belts.
And I'm like, no, don't go upstairs, little boy. Do not go upstairs, little boy. I watch horror all the time. That scene made me like, this man's fucked up.
It's
Like,
it's so good. It's so I went out. In fact, I loved it so much, and I normally don't do this. Like I bought I have the grabber mask.
oh, I almost bought one, and I was like, but I need to get it signed by Ethan Hawke, and I'll never meet this man.
I
So
mean, don't never say never. You never know. But
true.
we got it from Trick or Treat. My husband got it for me as a Christmas present, and I was like, oh my God, I lost my mind because I love that movie so much. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, that's one of the ones like it deserves some attention, and just Ethan Hawke in general deserves more credit than he's gotten for his horror.
Absolutely.
Then more recent, because I try to switch it up because I think that we very much know the icons. We know the horror icons. So Talk to Me, I like that one. What about the medium?
Dude.
And I
So good.
that yeah, that movie unknown cast. Like for those who are listening for the first time and didn't hear some of my talk about this before, there a hand of a medium is used as a TikTok tool for people to like share video, go to parties and teenagers and they use it and they talk to spirits and then allow themselves to be possessed for a certain amount of time. You go past that, they don't know what the fuck happens. And this is like seen as like a college challenge. And as you can imagine with young kids and fucking evil, shit doesn't go well. But it's a movie that people don't always talk about when they talk about top tier horror. I think it deserves to be considered as like this at least last 10 years top tier because of how it stands out compared to a lot of the trash and crap you put out there. Because
the emotions, like the emotions that the lead carries throughout the entire film.
Her acting's fantastic.
Phenomenal. She is. Oh, I can't wait to see more from her. I need to see more from her because she's amazing, but it's so good.
Her acting has always been something like the whole time I was like, who is this girl? Because yes, she's playing like she's possessed. But remember, they're not doing makeup for her acting. She is playing like she is possessed. So it was something that stood out with me because she did such a really good job. So you did steal the book I was going to bring up because I love Patient Zero. I actually had it listed as my Audible. Like I said, I've listened to and read every single book. There is a horror book that I just enjoyed because it's a funny title and it's just entertaining. It's called Man, Fuck This House. And it's about a family that buys a house that's haunted and yeah, just fucking read it. It's not going to be a classic forever, but I bought it strictly for the title. Man, fuck this house. Because every time you think about what would I do in a haunted situation, I'm leaving.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, I don't care how great of a mortgage I got. I'm leaving. I'm not dying so we can live in a neighborhood without an HOA.
I'm going to sell the house. I'm out.
I'm selling it. I'm renting it out to college kids. They can figure that shit out. I got to go. That's so fucked up. When we talked about like our 31 Days of Halloween, some of the other movies that I brought up is so obviously Jane Doe, but The Taking of Deborah Logan, a found footage one that is
so good.
So many fucked up, like so many scenes that just make you uncomfortable. Like the full jaw unhinge.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
I was like, you gotta relax. You gotta relax, Deborah. That was a good one. And I think I'm gonna finish with there's a found footage one about these there's a lot of found footage. We're gonna you know what, we're gonna back that up. I'm not doing found footage again. One of the movies
I got a found footage one for you, but go ahead.
There's a found footage one where this guy finds skinwalkers, wait, really? So he's a found footage guru that he's like, I found someone who claims he's a skinwalker. I found someone who says she's cursed by a spirit, almost like the girl from The Ring. And I found someone who says he's she says she's a vampire, and he's trying to bring them all together for like part of his like YouTube series. And
of course he is.
Yeah, of course he is. There's paranormal encounters. There's a couple of really great ones that I like, but I will throw out The Collector. The Collector, because he made a run at the new big bad, like the new, like I had,
like a new icon. Like he made that run as a new icon.
I mean, it obviously didn't last. The Terrifier's obviously taken. Yes, The Collector should have, but we ended up stuck with the Terrifier. We ended up like those icons. I don't like the Terrifier. I will say it openly. I know that I'm going to get shit for it. I didn't like the movie Hereditary. There's a bunch of movies I just don't like, and everyone looks at me funny. I'm like, I loved Barbarian, and people were like, I don't know. I was like, I actually enjoyed Barbarian, but only because it threw me off. I didn't expect what Barbarian was.
It's definitely you don't expect.
Yeah, normally I could walk into a horror movie and I'm like, I know what you're going to do. But I saw Barbarian and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
Yes. Yes.
whenever you put Justin Long in anything, fuck.
Yeah. You know it's gonna be a ride.
So
That's for sure.
What's that found footage one that you were going to tell me about?
As Above, So Below.
Oh, that's easily on my top 10 of all time found footage.
One of my favorites. Like, I saw it and I immediately rewatched it like the same night. I was like, this is great. Replay. That one and Hell House LLC, which a lot of people I actually visited the Waldorf Estates of Fear, which is where Hell House LLC was filmed. And it was a haunt. So it was a haunt long before it was a movie set. And it is set up exactly how it is in the movie. It is as disorienting as it is in the movie. And it is a fantastic haunt. And it's in Pennsylvania.
Damn, it's far. I might see what I can do.
Listen, I did 2 haunts in PA. It was Waldorf Estates of Fear and Penhurst Asylum, and they were both phenomenal.
I gotta try them. I know we're running a little long on time. I know you gotta go.
It's okay. It's okay. We're good.
I will get through because you talked about those top 5. Are there any deep cuts, 1-offs or 2-offs that you think 100% we should know about? Because my deep cuts, I kind of mentioned, like The Collector, people don't talk about it. My deep cuts are like, there are a couple of horror movies that are like the one Silence, the one where it's a woman in a house and she's being terrified. That's a good one, but it's one of those like people are starting to pick up on it and it's starting to get its following. Obviously, Oddity is a recent one that's getting a lot of attention. Then there's like something about Sundown Towns that a horror movie I saw, Green Room, His House. There's a couple of unknowns.
There's a few. The House That Dreaded Sundown was good. The remake. They did a good job with it. I will say I'm not a fan of remakes. But there are a couple that I am very partial to. But I feel like, and it's not a new film, a lot of people don't like it, but I really enjoy the Night of the Living Dead remake. Savini's.
Yeah, but why do you think people don't like it? Hold on, Night of the Living
I
Dead.
think that people are like purists, right? So if you look at the original Night of the Living Dead, Barbara became this shell. Like she was so terrified, she just sat on the couch and did nothing. But the remake, she's got that strong, like badass femme fatale energy to it. So a lot of people can't see her as anything but that.
That's fair.
Right. So a lot of people didn't like it. And a lot of people were like, well, it's Romero. How dare you? How dare you remake this? So I mean, that kind of, I get that, but I think it's really underappreciated by a lot of folks. So if you've not watched it in a while, or if you've seen it and you don't like it, like give it another shot, because it really is. It's an actually like a good film, and the effects are practical and they're beautiful and they're very well done. Watch the behind the scenes stuff. Again, big stickler for that.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair. And I think in every genre and every fucking fandom, there's people who are purists who's like, oh, never touch the one thing I held most precious in the world. First of all, grow up. Things change. Have some fun.
So let me tell you a quick story about that.
Please
So
do.
I love Evil Dead like nobody's business. I have a replica Kandarian dagger that a friend made. I have posters. I have an old school VHS. Like I have all kinds of shit, right? So when I heard they were remaking it, and I'm talking about the what's her name? Oh, Mia. So when I heard they were remaking it, I was vehemently opposed. I was so angry that they were remaking this film, and I was like, how dare they touch this? Rabble. Like I turned into like an angry old man. Right? Rabble. Like I turned into this angry old man. I was like, shit, I gotta go see this movie. So of course it's Evil Dead. I'm gonna go see in the theater. So I went and saw it. I was so mad at how much I enjoyed this movie. It was ridiculous because they didn't do a shot for shot remake of it. It was in the universe. It was very different. So it wasn't what I had gone in with the misconception of, which I thought A, helped, but B, the cast was phenomenal. The effects in that was phenomenal. So I was legitimately mad at how much I love that film.
Isn't that like I've been there before? I will be the first person to tell you, it was like, I am pissed off that I enjoyed this. Why? What the hell? Either I've been pissed off enjoying something that no one told me existed. I was like, why did no one tell me about this earlier? Like who's in charge here? And or I've been pissed off of when they've done a remake of something or something I anticipated to dislike, and I was like, this is actually really fucking good.
Damn,
I can't talk a
liked
single
it.
bit of shit. God damn it.
And I mean, to be fair, like years ago, back in the day, before I started Horror Happenings, when I lived in South Florida, I was part of a 2-person movie review team. So we watched a lot of shit. And I mean,
Trash
the
or like stuff?
trash, like the worst of the worst movies. And they were just bad. So, when I found a gem, I was like, oh, it was the most amazing thing. So, I mean, even some of the bad ones that I rewatched, I have a different appreciation for now. So it's weird, but I feel like, to circle back after this long hiatus that I took us down, I feel like Night of the Living Dead is the remake of it is something that is underappreciated than what it should be. I know that's probably not the answer you were looking for.
That's a perfectly fine perfectly fine answer. Hey, it's your answer. We do whatever the fuck we want here. The found footage film I was talking about an aspiring filmmaker that finds 3 cast members who claim to be real monsters is called The Monster Project. It was released in 2017. It's an hour 39. The Monster Project. He says, he brings all these people. He's like, I want you to actually prove it. You're claiming this. I want you to prove it on film. One was a skinwalker, one's a demon, and one's a vampire. And it was done.
I'm writing that down because I need to watch this.
Yeah, it was pretty good for what I wasn't expecting much. I was like Monster Project. It was like on Prime or something. I was like, I'll put this on, whatever. And when you think I'm gonna just go do stuff around the house, at some point I just stopped doing what I was doing around the house.
It just caught your attention. Yeah, you were like, all right, I'm in.
Because one, I guess I know why, but one piece of lore, mythos, and horror that I don't feel like I get enough of is skinwalkers. We get werewolves.
You really don't.
Yeah, we don't get skinwalkers and we don't get changelings much. Yes. We'll get werewolves because that's for people who it's easy to everyone knows what a werewolf is, but you might not necessarily. And I know why we don't get skinwalkers because there's cultural things that.
Well, the same thing with the W. Yeah. A lot of people, don't want to say that word because of the lore that's with it. WENDIGO. Yeah. So, that becomes a big thing, and
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I grew up close enough to Appalachia to know certain rules that have to be followed in certain areas. So,
right. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, you're right.
Thing.
But those things are frightening. Like when you really listen to the lore, read the lore, like those things we should get more, but we can't because a lot of people are hesitant. Like,
I mean, if you dive, and this is like horrible guilty pleasure, if you deep dive into like Appalachian TikTok, like holy shit, you will go down the rabbit hole for hours.
This once again, way too dark to be anywhere near the woods for a prolonged amount of time. I don't even like living in places that don't have streetlights. Listen, I'm not doing that. What's wrong with you?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Look, goddamn nature, you're scary. Last question. We're just gonna last 2 questions. We'll try to kind of like speed round them. What movie do you think is overrated or overhyped in the horror genre? Because I have mine, and I will start if you want me to, because I know I could get on a soapbox about this. Mine is Hereditary.
Okay.
Because I went into it expecting everyone's like, this is going to be the next Poltergeist, the scariest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. And the only scene that was uncomfortable was the obvious scene that was uncomfortable.
Right. Mine is House of a Thousand Corpses.
It is not good. I
hate it so much.
I hate it. It was so. What are you doing, Rob Zombie? What is this? Oh,
I saw it in the movie theater, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So my husband loves it, absolutely loves it, and bless this man's heart. And he never got the chance to see it in the theater, so I did the wifely thing, and I sucked it up, and I got us tickets, and we went and saw it, and we walked out, and he goes, "So, what'd you think?" And I said, "Well, the best part was the end credits." It is, and I love the cast. Don't get me wrong. Bill Moseley, I adore.
Devil's Rejects was way better.
Devil's Rejects was great. TCM2 is fantastic. Yeah. Like, love those movies. It was just that for me.
House of a Thousand Corpses was bad. It was a bad movie, and I know that was Rob Zombie's like first real movie, but it was so bad. Even his, and I'll say it, I didn't even like his version of Halloween.
I hated it.
Yeah, I didn't like
I
that.
think he needs to just stick to making music videos
Yeah,
and get out of the movie. I hated the
yeah.
monsters. Hated it.
Oh, I
I
never even
understand why
saw the
he did it
monsters.
the way that he did it, but I hated it.
Didn't even see it. When I saw his version of Halloween, I was like, okay, it's a
Yeah.
movie. Like, what do you think?
It's a thing I
It's
watched,
a thing that happened. I don't like that it happened. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
but I feel dirty now. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go take a shower.
same.
It's not
Yeah,
for me.
like some
And
movies, like
listen, all of these movies have fandoms, right? All of these movies, people love them for whatever reason. And I'm not like love your
oh
fandom and
yeah,
own that
I'm not
fandom
shitting on you
and
for
be that
liking it.
fan.
I just don't like it.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, that's fair. Like that's fair because House of a Thousand Corpses is bad. Hereditary was bad. I don't care what anybody tells me. I didn't like Hereditary. It was overhyped. I think what really bothered me about both is everyone really big fans of Rob Zombie. Who's like this, because he has a following. Obviously, he's famous for a reason.
Absolutely.
So you think about this living dead girl type of thing and everything. His whole mo. This is going to be great. You watch his man's twisted mind and look at all the things he does, and you see it's like this is a mess. There's a reason why there's a skill set that goes into movies, and you make music, sir. Let people do their thing.
And your wife doesn't need to be in every movie.
I mean,
I said
also
what
fair.
I said.
Also fair. Also fair. M. Night Shyamalan doesn't
I-
have to be in a cameo in everything he does. Like,
No.
no, he does. I don't need you to be the park ranger. Anyone can be the park ranger, M. Night.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. A wicked
also
did this
to you mentioned Terrifier. I will say I did enjoy the first one. The second one, not so much.
the third one I heard was like outstanding.
We'll see. I'll watch it. I'll give it a go. I liked the first one. The second one, my dad, who cannot do blood, like he's a pussy. I don't know if I say that. Sorry. It's not for
The
him.
show is called Bourbon and Bullshit. I don't care what you say here.
For whatever reason, he loves, like, obsessed over Terrifier.
Really?
Yes. Like, I'll put on something that'll be horror and blood. And he's just like, oh, Terrifier. He's all over it. And I'm just like, I don't understand your ways, old man. But you know what? At least there's something in the horror genre that you like. So I'm here for it. Whatever. But I loved the first one. It's just, I'm hoping the third one's going to be good. I was let down a little bit with the second one.
The Terrifier is like has that massive following, and I know people love him. I love they love him. Art the Clown, which is whatever, and he's
As people, they're lovely people.
Yeah.
Like too, which I mean, I've met them. They're lovely, lovely people. But it's
yeah, that is one thing I will say out loud for anyone listening at home. People who are into horror, people who are into heavy metal music and rock music, they're typically nicer than the people who listen to softer stuff or watch rom-coms.
Absolutely.
Like these people are like horror people. Robert Englund's one of the nicest people in interviews. Like no one's ever said a single negative thing about that man ever in the world.
Had such good interactions with him. I've never had a bad one. And he genuinely is like a sweet man.
Yeah. Like people who are into horror don't typically turn out being evil people. It's the people, they're not bad people. The motherfuckers you should worry about are the ones that like, I'm only watching Bible studies and Christian music. Listen.
Those are the people you look out for.
Those are the motherfuckers who haven't let that shit out. Let your demons out. Listen. And last but not least, I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on modern horror. Because we had a conversation. It was a really good conversation recently about how horror has moved away from those iconic Jason masks, those Freddy costumes. Like, when you see the Candyman hook, which is an under fucking rated top, like Mount Rushmore horror villains. Candyman's up there for me.
So good.
We had this whole who's your Mount Rushmore of actors and actresses. I'm going to be putting out who's your Mount Rushmore of horror villains. And I wanted to be creative, but I feel like everyone's just going to stick to the big three, which is Freddy, Jason, and Michael. And then the fourth is interchangeable, but
Pinhead
is up there for me too. Pinhead's up there. Chucky's up there. Obviously, Candyman's up there. And
dude.
Jigsaw's up there. There's the girl from The Ring. There's a lot of people that should be on that Mount Rushmore, but I think too many people are going to go for the big three and not focus.
Yes.
The joke I made with a buddy of mine is like, one who should be up there is a truck with a bunch of logs on the back, because one movie,
Final Destination,
one movie
scarred everybody, an entire generation.
No one drives the same. Who has changed? What? Name another movie that's changed how you live your life outside of Halloween.
Oh, fun short story, super fast. I was road tripping with a girlfriend and her daughter, and I was driving, and there's a truck on the side of me, and there's this truck that kind of gets in front of me, and it's a log truck. And she's like, ma'am, I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm getting there's traffic coming. Trust me, I don't want to be behind this truck either. I've also seen those movies. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that movie taught me so many things I didn't know I should have been afraid of. We're here. I'm afraid of shit that I wasn't afraid of before. I no longer put hot cups in the cold. I just switch cups.
Yep.
Getting a new cup.
Change it up.
I'm throwing out this cup. I don't want this cup because I don't, and don't get me started on garbage disposals. With modern horror,
I know.
Modern horror, we have moved away now to the conversation. What my thought process is that a lot of these studios like A24 and a lot of these movies are now reimagining horror to be specific to the viewer, to the person taking in the medium, where you can kind of build that up in your head. It's psychological. It's more preying on the fears of the consumer. And as someone who has quoted a lot of classics as some of your top tier horror, how do you feel about how modern horror has kind of changed and ventured away from giving you your Jasons, your Freddys, your Jigsaws? So
I think that it's horror in any genre really kind of evolves with the times, right? So if you look at modern horror, it's not directing, I'm old. It's not directing people that are in my age bracket. Like I'm in my mid 40s.
I'm old.
It's not necessarily coming at us, right? It's going at the younger kids, like the 20-year-olds, like that age bracket. So I have some friends that I met at a convention who are in the 20s, and they're lovely people, and they love a lot of the modern horror. And I just don't, because some of it's not for me, but some of it is very much for me. So if you look at things like, to your point, Black Phone, Talk to Me, both phenomenal movies. One that I saw recently was Trapped.
Oh, I saw that with Josh Hartnett.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not your typical horror and the way that you think it is, but it was different. And I liked that they tried to do something different with it. So I'm kind of glad that they're moving away from the slashers, because if you look at franchises like Halloween, right? And I'm not knocking Halloween. I love the original. I love the second one. I love the third one. But as it continues to move, these movies just start to get worse and worse. And the same thing with Pinhead, right? With the Hellraiser. The first few, phenomenal. The remake, fantastic.
I actually really like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love the remake. Thought it was great. Wanted to hate it. Thought it was fantastic. But they're kind of moving away from that. And I'm glad, because those stories, they've been told and they start to get repetitive, and then they start to get ridiculous and campy. Halloween H2O, I'm talking to you. So
that's very specific.
I love
That's a specific shot. I love it. God.
But but there is a place in my heart for that film.
Yeah.
So I think that they've started to realize that, yes, people do love a franchise, but a standalone film can be even better and even more impactful, and it'll bring people to a genre that maybe haven't been. So if you look at a film, and I'm going to reference this again, as Black Phone, it's very different and it's very unsettling for reasons that a lot of people don't really focus on. So if you look at it, it's like set in like this, 70-ish. So it's filmed in that grainy-ish kind of style. And the first thing that kind of triggered me a little bit was the abusive relationship between the dad and the kids. And that was very unsettling. It wasn't in the fact that the kid gets grabbed, right? That didn't bother me at all. I was just like, let's go, it's a ride. But the unsettling part was that relationship. And I think that things like that target the older genre, where if you look at a film like Renfield is targeting the younger genre.
More
and I think they're
more goofy fun, yeah.
Well, better known more well-known actors. Not to say that Ethan Hawke's not, because that man is, legend. But that's how they're kind of looking at how to bring in the newer generation of fans. And they do that a lot with cartoons too, like Hazbin Hotel, is one of them that's kind of bringing in the younger fans. It's anime. Hazbin Hotel. Okay. It's an anime show. So it's kind of that way. Is it some of the newer stuff I absolutely do adore, and some of it I'm like, this is trash. What are you doing? Why do you have this kind of budget, Renfield?
Is this Nicolas Cage?
It's not. Hate Nicolas Cage.
Oh, so you weren't a fan of Longlegs?
I did not see Longlegs. So if you sit me down and you say, hey, check this movie out, Nick Cage is in it, I'm just going to look at you and laugh and be like, no.
Even Mandy?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what movie I loved by Nick Cage?
Is it National Treasure?
No.
Is it Con Air?
Willy's Wonderland.
Really?
He doesn't say a
he
word.
doesn't say a single fucking word. That movie was actually hilarious. I like that movie a lot.
That movie's fantastic. He doesn't say a word because he doesn't Nick Cage it up. So if you look at Renfield, the beginning of it, black and white, when he's Bela Lugosi style Dracula, he's phenomenal. And then he becomes Nick Cage playing Dracula, playing Nick Cage.
That's fair.
So, but again, I have friends that are younger that absolutely love that movie. So there is a place for the modern horror, and it's a hit or miss, I feel, for the older generation. Mm-hmm. So as the older generation, the elder,
that's us,
spooky goth mom that I am, or grandma at this point to some of these kids, it's fine.
Back in my day,
I do that all the time. Back in my day, kids. But it's definitely changed, and in some ways for the better. In some ways, it feels like it's dumbed down a bit because it just feels like that's what they've done to an extent. And I feel like they've also taken away a lot of the gore factor, because if you look at the 80s films, like, they were slapstick and gory as hell for no reason, no good reason at all. They were just like, throw blood at it.
Freddy Krueger was always bloody. Dream Warriors, all that, everything was bloody in that movie. There was not a single scene that wasn't just covered in blood for no good. There's a whole bedroom scene that's iconic with Johnny Depp. I forget Johnny Depp was in that movie, but I know that scene.
Like, baby Johnny, little baby Johnny Depp gets eaten by the bed, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And it was phenomenal. Dude, for years, I didn't sleep in a waterbed because of friggin' Nightmare on Elm Street, let's be honest. I mean, it just, dude, phenomenal. So, I mean, I think that, horror films today are changing, and they're different, and they're impacting people in different ways. And there's definitely, a place in horror for everybody. Mm-hmm. But I'm old school, man.
Yeah.
But I do like certain aspects of the psychological stuff, like Trapped. Trapped was if you look at it, it was very psychological, and this man was methodical, and he knew what to say and how to get what he wanted and how to, the steps to get out of the situations. And it was just like, holy shit, dude, like, you're dirty, man. I kind of love you.
That layer of depth, and that's what, like, on the surface, okay, it's a good movie, but then when you think about the fact that someone that's charming and is normal seeming, and he's a great dad, and people love him, and all this is violently murdering people, and you watch
his switch flip a couple of times. Like, there's two scenes where you watch it flip. You watch it flip with the daughter's friend's mom, where she was getting a little cunty, and he was just like you could see it in him. You could see that switch start to go, but it never fully flipped.
Yeah, he was like holding it back. He's like, I'm in front of people. I can't. I have to wait. And
then the over-the-top friendliness and niceness. Hey guys, do you need sugar? Anybody want coffee? I'm gonna it's like, oh, bro, no. So I mean, the depth that he brought to that, I think, was very understated. And I think that you have to look at different movies like that and look at the horror genre like that in general, right? Because for years, if you acted in a horror movie, your career was going down the drain.
Oh, yeah.
Your career was going to the shitter if you were in a horror film. But if you really look at them, and if you really pay attention to certain things, it's very eye-opening as to what they actually do in some of these films.
And that's one of the things I think I will give modern horror credit where it's due. There's nuances a lot of the times, and I will also shit on some modern horror, because I think some people think they're too smart and too big, and say, oh my god, no, I'm big brain horror movie. There's layers and layers and layers. If I have to go on Wikipedia to understand what you were doing for this movie, it wasn't a great movie. If I couldn't enjoy it until I did the in-depth research, then it was a bad film. If I could do the research and get more from it, okay, I'm cool with that. But when those big brain movies or want to overhype movies, Hereditary, here's looking at you. Like, I'm not.
I love that we're just specifically like,
I will shit you. They should know. They will never listen to this, but I want them to know. But then, so like some modern horrors, like or themes, like the movie Silence, where the woman's at home by herself. Like, that's a real thing that people worry about in real life. And I could see why that could be the most frightening thing in the world. And what? Go ahead.
Housebound.
Oh yeah. There's a couple really great,
like,
there's things out there that I'm like, I understand. And I think that is what some modern horror does very well. It's because, to your point, franchises, as they go on and on and on, they get worse. Look, Freddy versus Jason, you did it. It was fan service. I enjoyed it, but it was fan service.
It was fun. It was a fun romp, and that's all it was.
Yeah. And then you see underrated movies that deserve more, like 13 Ghosts. Like, there are movies out there that are straight fantastic. They should have had more. But modern horror is not dependent on a name. And I think what sucks is that because just how economically, I hate to say it, but people trust what they know. People trust what they're not going to give something a shot until later on. And that's why we see cult followings of underappreciated movies and all that later on. Yes. It's hard for these movies to, these writers, these creators to come up with something creative and new without it kind of flying under the radar. Like, it just sucks. But I do enjoy movies like, I know I listed it when I sent it to you, like the movie Green Room. As crazy of a concept that was, I wouldn't have thought of putting that together. I was like, yeah, I am scared real life about Nazis. Yeah, that's a real thing I'm afraid of. Holy shit. Okay, Elijah Wood's in this? Like, I was like, oh shit. All of it was wild.
He's in a lot of stuff you don't expect him to be in, and they're usually pretty good, man. Yeah. And he's also another one that I think like he deserves more credit than what he gets.
Definitely. And but like then there's those A24 movies like Midsommar that I've never really seen.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just saw Midsommar for the first time like a month ago.
Was it good?
It was better than I expected it to be.
It was one of those I avoided because everyone hyped it, and
I did too, and it's long. Like it's a long one. There's a lot of there's a lot of character development in it. Yeah, words are hard. There's a lot of character development in it, and it is a slow pace.
Okay,
but
worth it.
It's fucked up. It really is. Like once you get into it, you're just like, damn, this is like it's kind of culty. Like.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love a cult film, so it's kind of culty for sure. But it was good. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay. All right, I'll check it out.
I'll give it that.
All right, we're gonna start closing out. I got some honorable mentions of terrible, and then honorable mentions of great. And I'll start so you can think of 2 honorable mentions of terrible and 2 honorable mentions of great, or just say, hey, we didn't fucking talk about them. Honorable mentions of great. Let the right one in. If you haven't checked it out.
Wait.
Both.
The original or the remake?
Both. I like both. And I
like
both.
Good.
I like both. I kind of want to tell you. Both are good. They both deserve to be watched. Honorable mention of good still, Cabin in the Woods, obviously, because I just think it's really funny. It's great because you see all the like campiness at the same time of getting a quality movie with some great actors.
We got a merman.
We got a merman. Like honorable mentions of terrible. Us. I will say it all day. The movie by Jordan Peele, because I don't understand why that little girl who walked down the stairs didn't walk right back up. And that whole movie could have been, the plot hole is so massive that I couldn't just get past that. And the fact that there's a lot of plot holes. We ain't here for that. Tune in for bonus features later. And bonus last really, really overrated movie. I would say Lady in the Water, but no, Split. Not Split. Mr. Glass, the last one for.
I didn't see that one.
I'm not sure. So Glass, the one where they put the guy from Split, Unbreakable together, and then it had Mr. Glass at the end. It was a conclusion of the trilogy for M. Night Shyamalan, and it was trash.
I'm not a big fan of
M. Night.
Including the movie. Everything's got I don't need a twist in every movie, man. Yeah. I really don't.
Yeah, he had the one where the visiting the grandparents. I thought that was really, really good. You're 2 and 2, and then we could close out.
Okay, you
can just give me one terrible honorable mention that we didn't get to shit on because I feel like we're kindred spirits in that aspect. Okay. And one great.
Let's go for a great. I'm gonna go very, very old school classic, House on Haunted Hill, Vincent Price.
I love that movie.
Yeah, great. Great one. Absolutely adore it. Think it's great. I'm probably gonna watch it later, to be honest. So that one's good. Horrible movies, I've seen a lot.
Give us one and we close it.
The one that was a movie that we watched was Beetlejuice 2.
Bad?
I said it. I said what I said. So here's the thing. Beetlejuice 2 was very much fan service in a way, but they basically turned Beetlejuice into a DMV worker. If you haven't seen the movie, spoilers by the way, Jenna Ortega was Wednesday playing Lydia's daughter. I like Jenna Ortega, and she does have range, but she felt like she was just Wednesday Addams in a Beetlejuice movie. They had too many storylines going at the same time that were not needed at all. At all. They did nothing for the story. I felt like Tim Burton just stuck a couple of people in there because he was banging them. Just saying.
All right. I love that.
That's what I said. So, I mean, I
I'm at it.
understand, like, again, the new generation loves it because they did not grow up with our Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Our Beetlejuice was a demonic,
Manipulative, evil piece of
he
shit.
was a dick. He was a dick. He was not a nice guy. And this one, they kind of treat him like the hero in a way. And it's weird. And it's just, it's not.
No, it's not
It,
good.
I will shit on that movie. I don't even care. And if you like it, good for you, happy for you. I enjoy it, but man,
No, fuck that. Then.
not.
I won't watch it.
No.
Well, all right. Well,
Fuck
so
that.
we'll close out. I know you had a busy schedule and all things spooky. I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Where can people find you and everything that you're working on right now?
All over the place, man. TikTok under Horror Happenings. It'll say like Dead Girl Erica. It'll be you'll see my no logo. It's there. It's basically green and it just says Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl. Facebook is another great one. I post a lot there. YouTube as well. YouTube are my longer videos. TikToks are just the quick, because everybody's got a short attention span nowadays, which is fine. So I do a lot of stuff there. Everything that I'm currently working on, doing, the haunts that I'm visiting,
All right.
they're all up on YouTube and TikTok. So check those out. If you like them, great. If you don't, it's cool too.
Guys, like, subscribe. It'll be in the show notes. But Erica, thank you for hanging out with us. Guys, if you're
Thank you.
enjoying, thank you, because I enjoy talking spooky stuff with somebody who knows what they're talking about. So
Yes,
guys,
anytime.
if you guys are enjoying what we're doing, follow at bourbon_and_BS on every social, because that's what we do. We just having fun and drinking. But as always, guys, stay safe. Don't text your ex, and do not go find out what that creepy noise is in the backyard, because that's how people end up dead. And don't split up, stupid. All right. Bye, guys.
No.
Good night. Hey, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Burn, Termite, and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdity Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had, from flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business. I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn, Termite, and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn, Termite, and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.